Frank and Will were operating a freight train along the seemingly endless tracks when suddenly, the dispatch center issued an emergency alert. An unmanned, out-of-control train, identified as Buffalo 777, was heading straight toward them. Having already missed the previous exit due to the excessive length of their train, their only chance of survival was to switch to a safety siding before the next switch. The supervisor ordered them to accelerate to full speed. But at the critical moment, with the siding entrance rapidly approaching and the faint sound of the runaway train's horn growing louder, Frank abruptly slammed on the brakes. Will was stunned, thinking the veteran engineer had chosen a death wish. Yet Frank's eyes remained fixed on the speedometer, his hands steady as rock. If they entered the siding too fast, they would derail. Drawing on decades of experience, he held their speed right at the edge of the limit. Will screeched against the rails as they veered into the siding at the very last second. Only the last car was scraped away by the runaway train. But the crisis wasn't over. Frank noticed something crucial. The coupler on the last car of the runaway train wasn't fully locked. He made a bold decision, detach their locomotive, pursue at full speed, and reconnect from behind to apply the brakes. It was a crazy plan, but their only shot. Driving against the wind, they closed in on the massive runaway train. Will volunteered to secure the coupling between the cars. With Frank controlling the locomotive with precision, they rammed into the rear of the runaway. Amid violent shaking, Will struggled to lock the safety mechanism, success. But his right foot got caught, and he nearly fell under the wheels, saving himself only by desperately clinging to a handrail with one arm. The real challenge, however, had just begun. The train was hurtling toward a dangerous curve. At this speed, derailment was certain. The main brakes had failed due to overload. Then Will remembered, each car was equipped with an independent brake. Without hesitation, Frank ventured once again across the violently swaying cars and manually activated the rear brakes. Their speed decreased slightly, but it wasn't enough. The curve loomed ahead. The train began to tilt, cargo was flying out wildly. Just as the wheels were about to leave the tracks, Frank roared an order. Will pulled the handbrake. Amid an ear-splitting screech of metal, the train was yanked back onto the rails by an overwhelming force. They had succeeded, but the train was still moving. Now, a railroad supervisor pulled up near the end of the train in a pickup truck. Will, ignoring his injured leg, leaped across. Fighting through the pain, he climbed into the cab of the runaway train and slammed the final emergency brake. With a deafening groan, the steel beast slowly ground to a halt. The city was saved.